welcome to day 4 of Vlogmas. Today, oh, my voice is a bit croaky, I just woke up. Today we're going to be talking about 6 things I wish I knew before living in a van. Firstly, it's not easy. I know this sounds like so obvious, but it's really not an easy lifestyle. You see all of the Instagram posts and the Pinterest posts about, you know, van life being all sunshine and rainbows. Like, I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know about like all the moving parts and like how hard it was actually going to be. If I did know this, maybe I would have done like a 6-month trip just to test it out, but no, we jumped into the deep end. The main thing is just constantly worrying about where you're going to sleep for the night. So many signs around Australia that say like, don't sleep here, like you're going to get fined if you sleep here. We thought that we'd be able to pull up anywhere and just sleep for the night. So that was one hard aspect that we didn't realize coming into this trip. And also keeping on top of how much water you have, how much power you have, and in our trip specifically, the budget. So I don't know how many vlogs you've watched, but if you've been watching for a while, you'll know that the petrol prices started at maybe like $1.60 per litre for diesel, and it has just absolutely skyrocketed. Like, one of our last petrols was $2.90. It's completely threw our budget out of whack. That was another hard thing. Like, lucky we had saved up like a little bit more to account for things like this, but it's definitely changed the way that we're traveling. We expected to have more money in areas like food and going out and just activities and stuff, but since the petrol prices have risen quite significantly, yeah, we haven't been able to do those things, which has kind of sucked. Of course, the petrol price hike happened when we were traveling Australia, but that's just life, isn't it? We also had a lot of fridge issues at the beginning, which weren't ideal. And yeah, just a lot of things that you don't think about when you're living like a regular life. Yeah, you always need to keep on top of how much of everything you have, because you don't know when the next place you're going to be able to stock up is, like when the next caravan park's going to be. Is it going to be too overpriced for us? Are we going to have to use more petrol? Like, it's just a whole thing. There's so many moving parts that you constantly need to keep an eye on. Number 2, you need to pick a van that you can fully stand up in. I can't stress this enough. I wish I knew this at the beginning, because like when we were picking out this van, you know, we stepped into it. I could stand up fine, but that was before we put all the roof in, and it's just like, Rowan is so much taller than I am and I'm struggling. Like, my back is broken because you can't stand up to do the dishes, you can't stand up to cook, you can't stand up to do anything in here. So yeah, that is one thing I really wish I knew, because we would have taken the extra time to look for a taller van so we would actually be comfortable in here all the time. But yeah, I know so many people that have like really short vans, and they can't even sit upright like this. So we're so lucky that we do have such a tall van. Just, if you can, get a van that you can fully stand up in once you've put the roof in. So yeah, definitely account for that when you're buying your van. That is one thing I wish I knew. Yeah, at the beginning it was fine, like we didn't think it'd be much of an issue, but after living in here for about 12 months, it's taken a toll. Number 3, you won't have access to bathrooms as often as you think. So I imagine that there'd be bathrooms at almost all of the rest areas and campsites. I thought they'd honestly just be scattered everywhere, but honestly maybe like 70% of them have bathrooms, so it's still like quite a good amount. But I would definitely recommend bringing your own portable toilet. And this is also great if you do want to park in a self-contained area, so you can show that you have your own bathroom so you can stay in that area. And chances are at one point or another you're going to find yourself in a little bit of a tricky situation. So yeah, I would recommend getting a portable toilet. Yeah, a lot of places that I thought would have bathrooms didn't have bathrooms, and we are very grateful that we have a portable toilet, which I highly recommend getting no matter where you're traveling. Number 4, you will always have sand and dirt in the sheets. There's no escaping it. It's just what happens. You live outside. It's just a part of life. So I thought we were going to keep this van like pristine and clean and like no dirt was going to get in. Boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong. It is just always dirty in here, especially with the dog. Like, he's just walking around on the ground. He jumps up into the bed. It's dirty. So we're definitely shaking out the bed and the sheets maybe like 2 or 3 times a day. It's, yeah, using the brush every single day, everywhere. And when we drive, like, dirt from the road like gets into the car somehow. Like, we have no idea. There's just always sand and dirt everywhere, and in those little corners that you don't get to very often, it just accumulates, and it's it's not as clean of a space as I had expected. Also, sorry if the light keeps changing, it's very cloudy today. And yeah, I also figured since we had the doormat and the little like wooden plank that we have on the ground that we could wipe our shoes, and we have like the separate section for our shoes as well, that it would all just go in there and no sand or dirt would get like in the seating bed area. Outside is dirty and we're living outside. The dirt and the sand just always comes in. If we're going to the beach every day, like sand just gets everywhere, and it's not a great time, but it's definitely worth the lifestyle. So yeah, be prepared to have sand and dirt everywhere. Okay, this next one I've touched on in a few previous videos and just before. Another thing I wish I knew was that many towns don't want you there. Like, I thought every town would want the tourism, like we're spending money at their shops and their cafes and doing activities in their area, but they just don't want you there. It's simple as that. A lot of towns think if you live in a van, you're like dirty and you don't have any money, and there's just such a stigma about it. Like there's such a stigma. Like if we pull into like a richy sort of area, you'll get so many like snobby looks. Like it's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, many towns just don't want you there. They say no vans parking here, like don't stay here, like go find somewhere else to stay, which has been a real eye-opener because I thought Australia was quite inclusive no matter what sort of lifestyle you were living, especially in the really popular areas like Byron Bay. Like there is nowhere to park for free. There are all these little spots around the town that are like in between trees and stuff. There's just so many signposts that say no camping, no vans. Like they really just, I don't know, they just want to push you away. And like beach towns that look like they're deserted, like no one's been there in years, they are pushing us away. Like they don't want our tourism. So that was definitely something that I wish I knew. I feel like in a lot of towns we're almost kicked out because of the way we're living, which is a strange feeling. I hope you can see the Christmas lights. I am a little bit Christmassy, it's just really bright outside. But yeah, places like on the Great Ocean Road where there's hundreds of lookouts, they all say no camping, like no vans allowed, fines of up to like $300. It's crazy. Like I really didn't expect, I don't know what I call it, not like shut out of society, but like pushed away. I don't know. But yeah, rangers come around to these places and actively fine you on the spot. Like it's really, you don't feel very welcome in a lot of places, but there are also so many places around Australia where we do feel welcome. But in saying all that, there's still so many places in Australia that are very accepting of this lifestyle, that have like spots like Kingston Southeast that had like a $15 for 3 nights in this like really beautiful grassy area. Like it was right on the beach, it was near a jetty, near this cute little lobster shop, really close to town. So yeah, we're gonna have a top 10 budget friendly camps in each state that are all gonna be dog friendly, obviously. Yeah, a video on that coming very soon. But yeah, there's a lot more places that don't want you than I expected there to be, if that makes sense. Okay, and number 6, the very last one, you'll have to give up convenience. Now, this is such a first world problem, but you can't get anything sent to you because you don't have an address. You can't just order takeaway food if you're feeling lazy that night because you don't have an address to send it to. I mean, you can send it to the caravan park or wherever you are, but it's such a hassle. So there's definitely not a lot of convenience in this lifestyle. I mean, we've set this van up to be as convenient as possible. So we have like running water out of the tap, but even then, like you still need to make sure that the water is filled up so you can have running water out of the tap. And the convenience of a bathroom all the time. Sometimes we literally need to drive 10 minutes to go to the bathroom in the morning. So if you're someone that wakes up busting, it's probably best to have a portable toilet on board. Yeah, convenience is a big one, and especially if you have a van that's bigger than ours, or if you have a caravan or something, the convenience of parking, I imagine, would be quite difficult. We can fit into a regular parking spot just, but yeah, there's a lot of things about this lifestyle that make it a little bit more inconvenient than regular life, but again, all of these things are so worth it. Even though van life is tough in some aspects, it just brings us so much joy and happiness and freedom. Like we feel like we're not held down or restricted by anything, which is just, it's one of the best feelings, because you know, later on in life with like kids and dogs and like a mortgage and there's just so many things that sound so stressful to me right now because I have like none of those responsibilities. And when you do find a town that actually wants you there and the weather's great and it's a really great location, you don't even think about inconveniences, and yeah, you don't realize how much you take those luxuries for granted living in a house, and it honestly just makes you way more grateful for the things that you do have. But yeah, they are the 6 things I wish I knew before living in a van, but I think even if I did know them, I would still do it if I knew the kind of highs they were gonna bring, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's all for today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye!